Dundee Man is back with constant 100 gauge. Stop crying, you Dundee. Slayer has finally been released for Guilty Gear Strive, and I personally cannot be happier. I have been waiting for this character for literally years. I have wanted him since year one of Strive, and he is finally in the game. But I have a confession to make, something which may change your perspective of me. I don't think Slayer is very cool. He's the coolest. He's completely surpassed every level of cool that there ever has been and has instantly become the best character in the game. Fuck you. This is not going to be an unbiased video. I am so sorry for swearing at you. I'm just very happy right now. So to make sure that I don't explode with the amount of excitement that's in my body, let's talk about Slayer in Guilty Gear Strive. Finally. Slick, stylish vampire, dripped out from head to toe. Wife in cape? Life good. Dundee. Slayer is one of now 2 playable Nightkin in the Guilty Gear cast. Unlike Nagoriyuki, Slayer has much more control over his vampiric powers, meaning he does not need to manage his blood first and is instead able to focus on what he does best. Killing people. But before we get to the... we should probably go over the basics. Between the events of Exard and Strive, Slayer has gained a miraculous ability that he did not have in the other games. He can now cancel his normal attacks into other normal attacks. Most of Slayer's normals are similar to the ones that he had in the older games. Granted, we did lose some of our strongest warriors. For example, 6P has been downgraded from the God Destroyer to, oh, heavens, keep that mid away from me type of move, which, like, for real, come on, it was a body check. It's fine, because we got other stuff to look at. Slayer's normal attacks are relatively decent for this type of character. However, they're nothing to go crazy over. His 5P and 2P both take 5 frames to come out, and they're his fastest buttons, which isn't bad, but he's definitely not going to be worming out of any loose frame traps anytime soon. His 5K is his furthest reaching button with a decent amount of speed behind it, and he's able to get a basic combo off of it connecting. His fast slash is actually similar in range, and has the added benefit of causing a mash out effect on a hit. If the opponent doesn't mash out fast enough, he'll be able to get a true combo off of it, as well as this move leading to his command grab, but we'll get to that later. His 2S causes a vacuum effect to happen, where Slayer drags the opponent closer to him. This can lead to multiple different things. However, the most useful thing that I've seen, outside of combos, is the ability to get P-Dandy Step to cross up reliably. What's P-Dandy Step? Whoops, I spoke too soon, ignore that. His 6K is an overhead attack. Just like the previous Guilty Gear games as well, you're able to hold the attack in order to do a feint version of the move where you don't actually hit the opponent, and instead you do a little bow. Very dandy, very dandy. I've seen a couple of silly setups for this, but I've never been able to recreate anything myself. Every time I go for the feint, I just get thrown. His 6HS is a very good combo conversion tool, as it has a very long reach, with the downside being that it's kind of slow. I've found myself using this in a lot of the basic combos that I've been doing, and it's given me a bunch of success. The rest of his normals are all pretty good. Sweep is still a slide, 5HS still hits like a truck, his 6P... let's not worry about that. Overall, for a close quarters rushdown character, you can definitely do a lot worse with his normals. But what about his special? 2-3-6, punch kick. Mappa hunch moves very quick. Combos from sweep. Grin. Dundee. Being a very fast-moving punch, Mappa hunch allows Slayer to cover a large distance in a short amount of time, while keeping him completely safe. The punch version is 100% safe on block, with the kick version only being punishable by throws. The punch version spaces Slayer out just outside of throw range, but as long as you don't deflect shield, you will get a guaranteed punish on the kick version, as Slayer continues to travel forward after you block it. This is assuming he doesn't Roman cancel, of course. On a normal hit, the punch version leaves the opponent standing, while the kick version guarantees a knockdown. On counter hit, both versions give combos, depending on spacing, and you can get some really good distance out of these if you're willing to spend some resources. Overall, a very good move. It's quite useful in neutral as well, just because of the amount of ground that it covers. If you see your opponent throwing out some mids or something at the other end of the screen and they whiff, you can just do a quick mappa hunch and now you're in their face. Very fun. Very cool. Dandy Man moves fast, sliding on the enemy. Pile Bunker kills you. Dandy. Slayer's most iconic move is back, being, of course, the Dandy Step. Dandy Step is a move that has multiple different enders depending on what the player presses. This is known as a wrecker, and if you see a problem with that explanation, no you don't. By doing the punch version, Slayer slides forwards, allowing him to pass through the opponent. The kick version of the move has Slayer slide backwards, creating a small amount of space before dashing at the opponent. The kick version cannot naturally pass through the opponent. However, with certain setups, you are able to end up on the other side of the opponent. It's been one day and we already found pile bunker loops. Is that a good sign? From what I can tell, the only difference between the pile bunkers is the actual movement this time. In older Guilty Gear games, they used to have different properties for the follow-ups. However, it seems that they both now do the same damage and have the same follow-up properties. But what are the follow-ups this time? Well, by pressing punch, you do pile bunker. Like I said before, Pile Bunker kills you. This is a move that does a pretty decent chunk of damage, but most importantly, it instantly sticks the opponent to the wall if they connect with it. This allows Slayer to convert basically any stray hit into an instant wall stick, depending on distance and spacing and all that jazz. But he has a very reliable way to break the wall, meaning he has a very reliable way to give himself positive bonus. This is, in my opinion, extremely funny. I'm sure no one will ever have a problem with this. Pile Bunker isn't perfect though, no matter how good that damage looks. Oh! No, in fact, this move has a very, very upsetting downside. It is negative on block. Despite guard crushing the opponent, the move unfortunately leaves Slayer vulnerable to counterattacks, meaning going for it recklessly can lead to an early loss for the poor vampire over here. But then again, if you want to go gambling, the reward on counter hit is... By pressing slash, Slayer gets It's Late, a giant overhead attack that also doubles as an anti-air. This move is around 14 frames, meaning you're definitely not reacting to it. It's also mostly safe on block, being -2. This means that if the opponent instant blocks, they get a throw punish. However, if they just normal block it or god forbid FD, the pushback is so great that you won't be getting thrown. On a normal hit, you cause the opponent to bounce on the ground, but need to spend a resource in order to get a combo. On a counter hit though, getting a counter hit with this thing feels like winning the fucking lottery, because you can basically do whatever you want and it's probably gonna work. It is a very good option, and when people find out how to hit this thing meaty, it's gonna do some serious damage. The real scary part though is when you begin using the kick option. By pressing kick, you get Bump Ahead, a sweeping low attack that comes out in around 14 frames, making fuzzy blocking between It's Late and Bump Ahead impossible. Probably. It's day one, cut me some slack. Just like It's Late, this is also -2 on block, meaning that you can be thrown if the opponent instant blocks the attack. However, also like It's Late, the pushback on a normal block is so insane that you're most likely not gonna have to worry about that. On a normal hit, you don't get a combo. However, you can OTG close slash in order to set up a meaty cross-up or an IAD button. Unfortunately, the IAD button doesn't give a safe jump, but the meaty cross-up option does seem very nice. This is gonna piss some people off. And just like its overhead counterpart, Bump Ahead gives you a full combo on counter hit. It's not technically as strong of a counter hit, but you still basically get whatever you want from it, so who really cares? Using both of these options with each other will make your offense and mix-ups very scary. And we're not even done yet. By pressing Heavy Slash, you get Master's Hammer, a mid-hitting attack that leaves Slayer plus on block. This move is the only attack that leaves Slayer plus, but that's not the important part. If Master's Hammer is used close to the opponent, you'll actually cross the opponent up to the other side, which means if you do P Dandy Step to cross the opponent up, you can then use Master's Hammer to go back to the other side. By changing Slayer to have a low move on Dandy Step while allowing him to cross up with it again, he has become an insane mix-up character, and it allows him to get away with some absolutely dirty shit if the opponent is unaware. Yeah, Master's Hammer is reactable as fuck, but who cares? They're too busy thinking about the same side low and overhead to notice you in the air with bloodlust in your eyes. Speaking of bloodlust, blood flowing through you. Delicious red energy. Please, just one small bite. Dandy! By doing 624HS, Slayer will do a command grab known as Blood-Sucking Universe. The command grab does a small amount of damage along with healing Slayer for a slight amount of health. Very similar to Nagoriyuki's command grab. In fact, it's literally the same grab. However, instead of affecting a gauge, Slayer instead is granted a unique state known as the Universe State. For a set duration of time, the next hit that Slayer does will cause a unique hit state known as a Universe Hit. Because the hit looks similar to a high-level counter hit, a lot of people have been referring to this as a Universe counter hit. You can't actually counter hit while in the Universe state because, well, the Universe overrides it. But a Universe counter hit does have a nice ring to it, so fuck it, I like it. We're calling it that from now on. Universe counter hits allow for Slayer to easily combo off of any of his moves as it acts like a high-level counter hit from any normal or special, meaning that off of Dandy Step, Slayer is able to get some absolutely ludicrous combos and conversions. The scary part of Blood-Sucking Universe isn't the command grab, it's the mix-up right after. Also, fun fact, if you press heavy slash, you actually melee the opponent right after Blood-Sucking Universe, so you're able to jail them into taking the Dandy Step mix-up. Well, they can still do stuff out of that, but you know what I mean. One of Slayer's defining feature in the older Guilty Gear games was a unique technique known as backdash cancel. Basically, because Slayer's backdash had him completely disappear, it would mean that he would be fully invincible on backdash. He was also able to jump cancel this backdash. Did you know that if you do a motion input in your pre-jump frames in these games, you get a special move? So Slayer used to be able to become fully invincible and then do whatever special move he wanted. And yes, it was very cool. In Strive, however, your backdash does not have strike invulnerability immediately, only giving you throw invulnerability. This means that you're not able to give true strike invincibility to your special, so backdash cancel is basically dead. To compensate for this, we got Hand of Doom, a strike attack that can be activated from a backdash. And it kinda sucks, honestly. What they want you to do is use this as a whiff punish tool to avoid an opponent's attack. But from what I've been able to test, you might as well just press heavy slash and get a bigger combo. Yeah, it goes further distances, so you backdash from far away and then catch your opponent with it. But Hand of Doom doesn't have any strike invulnerability, so if they have a long lingering hitbox, you just fly into their far slash. Backdash cancel is completely removed from the game. For fuck's sake, man. Now's not the time for a fucking haiku! Slayer has two supers. One of them is pretty standard, and the other one is very, very interesting. So let's start with the basic one. By doing 632146S, you get Super Mappa Hunch, a full-screen super punch that causes Slayer to fly so far forward that he loses his clothes before the bats cover him up like the cowards that they are. The super relatively doesn't do that much damage, which might confuse you, but it'll make sense soon, don't worry. It's a pretty standard ordeal. Fully invincible on startup, good and easy conversion tool, goes full screen. Wait, goes full screen? What? Yes, the move goes full screen, meaning that if your opponent is zoning you out with, I don't know, cubes, you can just punch them in the face. It's very cool. But that's not what you're here for. No. You're here for the other super, aren't you? Well then, let's have a little chat about Last Horizon. By doing 236HS, Slayer begins sliding forward at you. If he connects the attack, he takes a big bite out of your neck and does... Whoa, that's a lot of damage. Last Horizon is Slayer's biggest move. A super that can basically instantly end the game, and all it costs is all of your meter, and the fact that you have to get the hit off cleanly without being able to Roman cancel. Yes, this super costs 100 tension gauge. And while it looks like a Raging Demon, this isn't a grab, it's a strike. So you can connect it on your opponent if they're in the air, but don't expect any Raging Demon shenanigans. This super is very, very cool, and now is my favorite in the game. Because if you hit Oscar with it while he has no mana, he literally dies in one hit without any risk. And anything that causes a mage to drop dead on the floor is a plus in my book. But it does lead to an interesting decision that you have to make as Slayer. Meter on this character is valuable. Your pressure on its own is already pretty good, but adding Roman cancels on top of it makes it so much more powerful and scary. But even in other places like neutral, you're still going to want to use your meter to well, not die. While it is very funny using the big power bunker move in neutral, eventually Slayers are going to have to learn to actually play the neutral game, and unfortunately, he's not the best at it. So being able to use meter in order to get in or just super mappa hunch to shut down your opponent is a very, very tempting option. But then again, if you save it and you get that miracle touch, wow, they're dead! It's a balancing act that every Slayer needs to figure out for themselves. I'm probably going to use my meter as much as possible since Slayer just generates that shit like it's going out of style, but I can imagine saving everything for one big last horizon hit is going to be a tempting option for some people, especially if you're already on the back row. But who knows? It's early days, and all I can say is Slayer's super fun, and I'm extremely happy he's finally here. Done deal. Anyway, I'm streaming right now. We're playing Slayer. I'm probably watching the Arc Live thing. It's gonna be fun. You come on around. Also, subscribe to my Patreon. No reason. I like money. It's funny, isn't it? Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you all next week. As always, a very special thanks to 64 MHz, Almost Nap Time, Savantas de Leon, Cora HRT, Daniel Wuderick, Edison Lottery, Fexo, Games.png, Haywire Nova Lee, I Am Naoto, It's Riley, Knife and Spoon, Pretty Cat, MP04, Mr. Clen, Nubus, Ray W, Sergeant Cubby, Super, Falcon, Tom Tanks, Velvet Puppy, and Zandatsu for being Tier 2 patron supporters.